2. Hi. How's it going? Welcome to Clackamas Community College. We're glad you're here. How was the drive? Long? Come on, it's just Salem. The north side of Salem, too. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. My name is Kathleen, and I am the director of the Music Performance and Technology program, and welcome to the 8th Annual Music Performance and Technology Festival. Yeah, we're so excited to hear you today. I'm going to introduce you to these fine musicians behind me in just a second, but I just want to kind of give you an idea of what we're going to do here for the next about 50 minutes before we get ready to hear y'all perform, which is going to be so cool. We're so excited. So I thought it would be fun this time around to show you how we put together a tune. So this is our first time with our guest artist, Jon Dixon. Please say hello. We're so excited you're here with us. And then, well, I have 2 folks here that are on faculty, not including myself, and then my guitarist who plays in my band with me and also plays around town. What I'm trying to say is that we all have learned to speak a language, and so we can get together and communicate with a couple of sort of we assume a language, and there's a lot that goes into learning this language. All of us have studied for many years to become literate. And so I think one thing I really want you to take from this session today is, of course, to be inspired by these fantastic musicians, but also to kind of watch us read through a chart. We're going to read through a really amazing tune called Butterfly. It's off of one of Herbie Hancock's albums. It's very cool. So we're going to talk through it, we're going to read through the chart, and then we may talk through some things, because this is a little bit of an interesting tune. And then we're going to kind of open up to questions, or just, but I want you to see our process, and I also want you to see how important reading music is. Even if you are a rock musician, and maybe you are a singer-songwriter, learning to read music and learning to read a chart is really important, because one day you might have to write one, so that you can all be on the same page to communicate quickly, because it's one thing to have a band and write tunes together and memorize, and it takes a long time, but it gets really scary when all of a sudden somebody gets sick and you have to have somebody fill in, and you have 5 days to teach them all the tunes by memory. You need a chart, yeah? So anyway, we're glad you're here. I'm just going to quickly introduce everybody, because you're going to get to hear them all tonight and get to work with them today. So I'm from Detroit, Michigan, a fantastic pianist, composer, DJ, EDM producer. Would you please, also just a lovely and amazing human being, would you please give it up for Jon Dixon. On our faculty, teaching our bass studio, teaches rock history, and also co-teaches contemporary music ensemble with me, the incomparable, illustrious Kevin Dietz. Also on our faculty, teaching our jazz combo, and our private drum instructor, one of the greatest drummers in town. Would you please give it up for Charlie Doggett. Not on faculty here, but I always bring him here for this because he's got such great words of wisdom. Fantastic and a very unique guitarist, and has an album coming up soon. You're going to get to hear one of those tunes later this evening. Would you please give it up for my friend and also great human, this is Jack Radsliff. Okay. I am Kathleen. You know me. You've probably seen me here before, or we came and saw you this year. We're going to put together a tune, but I'm going to actually get out of the way and just be a musician now. And I think Jon brought this tune, so maybe you'd want to introduce it. Would you be okay with that?
Sure, yeah. Is my voice loud enough?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the song is Butterfly, as Kathleen mentioned. It's a Herbie Hancock song. I believe I started playing the song before I even heard the original, which is okay. And I wanted to bring it in to play with the musicians because it's easy enough and it's open and free enough to allow room for everyone's interpretation. So there's like a lot of room to insert ideas, insert you into the piece so that it doesn't have to be played like the original. It's one of those songs that you take it wherever you want in terms of arrangement, speed, tempo, key, and just kind of make it your own, especially when you get the chance to work with musicians who either you've never met or might bring their own flavor to it. So it's just a really fun piece. So um, how did we start this one off? Just kind of like kind of off or okay. Let's see. I got an idea. What if I just start with the rhythm and then you guys just kind of come in, and maybe we'll musically go into the hit. Yeah. Okay. Is it okay if I get Rose and then find it?
We're only getting mains right now.
There we go. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. I know the intro has like a little bit more space, so it's and there's like that pause. Let's just only do that for the intro, and then like in between the actual song, we'll just do the every time. That way it's a little bit easier between solos and everything like that. That way there's no go back to what we did at the top. Yeah. It'll just make it a lot more clear. Like that's only for the intro only, and then that way for the rest of the song we'll play that section.
So at the top it's almost free.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got that pause in between.
All right. But it's unmeasured, or is it measured?
The top is measured, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Yeah, so it just got that pause, but still in time.
Okay.
And then in between verses, it'll just be the regular. Yeah, it's just easier to kind of go through that.
Sure.
Want to try right on the top?
All right.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Kathleen was saying earlier about this universal language of music. The fun part when you get to play with musicians is sometimes not always talking through things, and let's just kind of see where it'll go, see what'll happen. Maybe we'll go somewhere that we like, maybe it'll go somewhere that we don't. But like whatever Jack was doing with that G, I'm like, yes, this is the land that I love, this land of freedom and free flow. Let's keep that for like, yeah, that was nice. I like that. I'm trying to think.
Is there any questions?
Yeah.
Any questions? Don't be shy. Yes.
That's like what you did when you like slid up and switched hands. What the heck was that? Like you doing that?
Oh, me?
Yeah, when you like slide up with like its tone and you switched hands.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure.
You should do it again so we can see.
Was it like one of those? But maybe I also went like this?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really remember.
Yes.
What kind of instrument is that? With the
A melodic.
This.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's what's called a melodica. You can get these pretty cheap, actually, anywhere $50 to $75. But this is kind of a nice one. This was a little bit more than that. And it's like a keyboard, obviously. But the keys are really small. It's a different articulation. You don't play like a piano. You articulate like you would a wood instrument. So it's a little challenging. It's different because the keys are smaller. But it's set up like a keyboard, and there's these reeds inside that it vibrates when you blow through it. But you articulate with your mouth, and you're inside your articulators as opposed to, with your fingers. It took me a while to kind of figure that out. It's still a coordination, like a little sometimes. Yeah.
oh, what did you say it was called?
It's called a melodica. Yeah, it sounds a lot like a harmonica. Yeah.
I'm curious about that bass. Like, how much was it?
This bass?
Yeah.
I think the list is like 4,800 something.
All right.
It's all custom made. One guy made it. So. Yep.
How do you play your bass so high up? Like, is it comfortable for you, or like, is it that how you use your technique? Is having it higher up on your chest?
I think mainly because the fingerboard is so wide. In order to be able to reach all the strings, it needs to be fairly high up just so you can get your fingers around it. If the bass is down by your knees, all your fingers are now toward the bottom of the fingerboard. You just can't reach everything going like this.
Was it like something that you had to get used to?
Yeah. I just realized that I was starting to get some pain actually in my wrist here because I was wearing it too low because everything is like this. And just by bringing the bass up, you can see that the angle now is pretty neutral. So it solved the problem. And also, with the funk stuff too, you're right here. Fits really great and stuff.
So, when you're holding your sticks, it's like you're holding it with your whole hand, but they're also gonna just like loosen up for you to do like doubles and triplets. How do you hold it?
The sticks?
Yeah.
There's not just one way. So, a lot of different grips. You might see, something I've been working on just kind of recently, but to get a little more articulation out of the cymbal, I changed my grip a little bit. So, to give you an example, like there's this sound which I dealt with for years, and I'll change the grip to what I'm doing now so you can kind of hear it and see it. So you hear the difference? It's just all I'm doing is like changing a little bit how I'm holding the stick to get more of the wood sound out of the stick. So it's actually, the sound is coming from back here, not from out here. So like when I'm here, it's really loud back here because all the sound is coming out of my hand. Even on the hand. So I'm just like trying to get more click out of the stick, versus just kind of where I was for years and years. Big difference. So it looks a little funny. If you're a drummer, I wouldn't necessarily try and do that. Kind of screwed up my hand for a while trying to make that sound happen. So yeah, it's just a funny little thing. I've been trying to change my own sound. That's all. It never ends. So I'm just tweaking with my sound.
Have you guys like played together before, or is this like the first time?
Earlier today was the first time we had played together. We got together from like 9 to 10 this morning and kind of just ran through 5 or 6 songs real quick, just to get a handle on them, but that was the first time we played together.
Is it easy to like just be able to like with what you were saying earlier about being able to kind of like do your own thing, be free if like musicians are like the musicians you're playing with are able to like do that? Is it easier when you guys can all just like make something into one?
I think when you've had enough practice, or when you've done it enough in other situations, you kind of learn to listen to what everybody's doing, and then maybe copy or mirror on whatever your instrument is, or complement even if it's a harmony or if it's a similar rhythm. Like I think Kathleen did something in her solo. I tried to kind of just match it and let her know that, hey, I hear what you're doing. I enjoy that. Here's another note to kind of go along with your note. Or when Jack played that G at the end, I like to kind of play the same note, but then kind of maybe add a couple other harmonies underneath it, but still match that G. But just like anything, right? The more times you do it and the more practice, with an idea in mind of how you want to do it. Sometimes some things work, sometimes they don't, but the fun part is when it doesn't work, it's like, okay, well, let me just change my notes until I think I like it. Nobody else is giving me the weird look, what are you over there doing? And I just keep going until I do something that gets a nod or a smile out of Jack or one of the people up here, and then just kind of, yes, I did something cool. Versus what's this guy doing?
How long have each of you been playing your instruments?
Gotta do math, hang on.
How long have you been playing?
35 years. 35 years.
50 years.
35.
Started about 9 a.m. this morning. No, I've been playing for 18 years.
I've been singing since I was a kid, but I started piano at a little bit later age, at the age of 22, so there's still hope for you if you want to learn how to play. Yeah, so I think I've been playing piano for about 33 years, singing most of my life. Yeah.
Are you guys gonna play the other 4 or 5 songs you guys practice?
Tonight, at the end of the night. But I thought maybe, kind of leading off your question, if you guys would be up for it. So one thing we talked about is reading a chart and like going for, a tune like this, but maybe we could just throw out a tune and just go through it and talk how you would do this, because this would be a language we could all do. Could we do When the Saints Go Marching In kind of like second line shuffle-ish? Can we do it in the key of G? How about you guys vamp? Maybe we should go through the changes like twice and then we'll be ahead. Okay, so I just called a tune, a basic tune that we all kind of know. I told them the key. I told them the feel. I said we're going to start right from the changes. We'll go through twice and then we'll start at the head. This is fairly, you could take this language in jazz, but you could also take it in a singer-songwriter kind of tune, like a famous tune, or like if you're introducing your song. So this is When the Saints Go Marching In a G. Oh, right here. 1, 2, 1, 2, ride the chain.
eye contact. Eye contact is usually it, and usually, like say if Kathleen is soloing and then she finishes, and then like because we didn't talk it through, me and Jack kind of looking at each other, so I kind of, you know, and you sir, is either you or if Jack says or you, I might say, okay, like I don't know, it's a way of either you can non-verbally do it or you may say Jack go, or Jack I don't want to solo, but sometimes I don't, and it's just like I'll try and subtly, you know, say no, you, but it just depends. But yeah, like you just kind of eye contact, feel it out, or sometimes it might be silent for a couple of measures until somebody jumps in, depending on the move. Sometimes I'll not jump in to kind of show that, you know, I don't want to solo, and then sometimes nobody jumps in, and I'm like, okay, take over for form through if I have to.
I think, you know, it's sort of like, you know, we've talked about this, and all of us have a fair amount of jazz influence and study within us and kind of what we do, but, you know, we all play different styles too, but it's definitely like having a conversation, you know, like if you have somebody in your circle that just never stops talking, then there's no room for anybody else to move, so it's nice to like say something, like say the melody and then do your thing and then, you know, hand it off, like go for it. It's all about you. I want to hear what you have to say, you know. And we also know like the form of the tune, like know how the chords go, and it just kind of repeats in a cycle, you know. So it's why your music theory is really important to understand how that goes, so that you can start to think outside the box, like what happens, you know, if somebody decides to take an extra chorus and then or whatever, just having the ears to kind of know where you're at, and if you do get off, like I had a moment here where I was like, I'm not sure where they're at right now. I'm just gonna listen and wait till I get it. And like, oh yeah, I heard Charlie do that thing, you know. But there's definitely a certain element of like, you know, looking over the edge, like, woo, you know. But I don't know. I've played with Jack for quite a few years, and we've taught together and played together for quite a while. And there's no way I could not trust playing with you already. And we've only sat down and played together for just over an hour. Like we can speak some sort of language cohesively together, and there's a certain amount of trust, like I got your back, you know, and whatever you do, we're here with you. So having that, it's a beautiful sense of conversation, and there's a lot of respect, I think, in a situation like this, and in cordiality and admiration for each other. And I mean, I will say that I've also been in band situations where it's not been that way, and it can sometimes be contentious, or if someone's in a bad mood, or it's vibey, or it's, you know, their kind of ego is like sort of, you know, at the forefront. Like, you know, these are things that come up. We're human. We're full of all sorts of, excuse me, bullshit, you know, and I mean that in a good way. Like, but we're all human too, you know. We're all human, and we have all sorts of stuff. So learning to communicate in a humble and respectful and loving way has taken me a while, because when I was first starting out, like, I'll just be honest, I'll put my heart out. Like, when I was first starting out, I wanted it really bad, and my ego wanted the gratification. Like, when I was first getting started as a singer, and then when I started playing piano, like, there was a part of me that, you know, that just wanted it really bad, and it would come out, you know, that sort of, like, that need for it, and maybe not always in the nicest way, and it took me a long time to grow up and learn how to respectfully communicate. And then, you know, once you get a little bit older, it's not that you don't love it or need it anymore, you do, but you have this, like, you know, this is who I am, this is what I do, and it's not like something I'm attaining anymore, although we all still work at it, and we all still practice, and we all still want more, but this is what we do. And there's a great sense of being seated in that I find a lot of integrity about just being a human being and walking on the planet. You know, it makes sense, you know, like, I don't know, it's not just playing chords up here or playing melodies. There's a lot more to it, FYI, you know, if you're in it for the life, if you're in it for the game. Any other questions?
So which place that
How hard is it to like start out in music, in like contemporary? How hard is it to start out?
So I will come back and ask you, when you say start out, what do you mean by starting out?
Like when you're
for example, when you first started making music, was it easy to get like, was it quick to get known, or was it like slow?
I like that question. For me, and I'll try to answer all of it. I started making music at home in my parents' attic where my keyboard was, and it was just me and my workstation, and I used to save my songs to floppy disk. Anybody know what a floppy disk is? Yeah. So that's back in the late 90s, 1999. And so for like years, a few years after that, like I practiced and I made music in the attic, and then that was it. And I was good according to others. I thought I was all right in learning, and then one of my friends was like, "Why don't you come out?" And I'm like, I don't know. It's like people should hear you play. So like, it's not that I was avoiding going out to jam sessions or different things like that. I just didn't want to. But once I did, I started meeting people, and then everybody's like, "Who are you? And where'd you come from?" I'm like, "I'm from here. I just haven't gone out." But then from there, once people are aware of your talents, I always like telling people, like, as big as Detroit is, we all talk and know each other. So like, even if I don't know you, for example, let's say I know Kathleen. If she knows you, I know you. And your name is?
Jackson,
Jackson. What do you play?
guitar.
So if I say, Kathleen, I'm coming to Portland, I need a guitar player. There's this guy I saw on Instagram named Jackson. He's got like 16,000 followers. Is he good? And she might say, well, Jackson doesn't have a car, and he sometimes shows up late to rehearsal knowing half the music. And I'm like, okay, well, Jackson's out. Who else? Right? So it's like, I'm really big on first impressions, and I'm big on everything else that has nothing to do with how well or good I play. Am I dependable? Am I going to respond to your phone calls? If you text me, did I respond within 6 hours, depending on what I'm doing? If you send me an email, did I respond to the email? Did I learn music? Do I have charts if there are no charts? Did I memorize the music? Do I have time to memorize the music? If not, it's easy for me to write a chart. I'll do that. Do I have my own transportation? Did I sleep through my alarm? Is the gig in my phone? Like, all of those things are the reason why I've continued to get the call, not so much for my skill set, but people know that they can depend on me, and if they give me the music, or if Kathleen called me to come here to teach and be here these next 2 days, even though she never met me, I want to make the first impression to know that, okay, here's my itinerary or things that I kind of listed for myself to go through or talk to, even if I don't get to it, just to show her that, oh, okay, Jon showed up and he's got both days printed out and what the schedule is. I know that in the future, if another opportunity came for me to bring him, I know that he'll come prepared with things to talk about. He gets along with musicians that he just met for the first time, on and off stage, which is really important, and it adds, the off stage adds to on stage. But all that to say, it took me a long time while practicing it, of course, my craft, to understand the importance of the things that really get you hired, which is how professional you are in terms of communication, transparency. Hey, I can't make it. You know, I got this event. I'm sorry. Can you record rehearsal and send it to me, or is there another day we can all meet, or maybe I can just meet one-on-one with you if there isn't another rehearsal. Things like that is what continue to kind of get you more gigs, and then that word spread and say, hey, you know, Jackson is dependable. Not only can he play, but he shows up on time. He came with his own charts. He was on it. Like, put him in our phone as like the top guy whenever something else comes back. Hope that answers your question.
We got time for like about half of one more, because we got to get to hearing y'all.
Never mind, I feel like that'd be kind of a long one.
Okay.
We can answer it quick.
You can answer it quick.
Is it easy or is it hard to create music, like make your own song?
Easy and hard.
Both.
Easy in the sense of you have the idea, you know how to record the idea, how to play it. Hard when it comes to wanting to finish it and how you want it to sound, and then when it's finished, where do I put it? Is it going on iTunes? Is it going on SoundCloud? Is it going on YouTube? Is it going on Bandcamp? Or is it just going to stay in my phone? I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable. My friends say they like it, but then a stranger walked by and kind of look. I don't know if I should release it. Maybe I'll hold on. Maybe I won't. That's the hard part, is once it's finished. Or maybe it's finishing. You're like, how do I finish it? I think it needs something. Maybe it doesn't. So we can kind of get in the way of making it harder for ourselves when really it's just like it's already done. It's just a matter of having someone come and say, just put it out already.
I tend to write a lot of songs and a lot of lyrics and stuff, but I can tell you sometimes it takes me a long time to craft a song, like months, and I'll just keep working away. And then sometimes it'll be like a straight download. But the one thing I've learned, first off, is that I've accepted myself as a writer, and that took a while. Like, who am I to be a songwriter? Am I going to call myself that? Is that what I want to, do I get to do that? Am I allowed? There was like that. But then once I was like, oh, I like the process of writing, then I just chip away at it a little bit here and there. I don't do it all the time, but just know that sometimes it's hard and you have to stick with it. Like if you have an idea that's really bugging you, like you really got to get it out. This is important that the world hears this. You might have to craft it for a while. It might not come right out, and it might just hit you, and you've got a song in a half an hour, you know. But calling yourself one and just owning that and claiming that is one thing, and then just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Don't let anybody tell you no. If you want to be a writer, just keep writing, you know. And not everything's going to be great, and that's okay. And then every now and then you're going to have something that's beautiful, and everybody's going to be like, oh my God, like, thank you for writing that. It's my favorite song. You know, so there's a million different answers to that question. Yeah.
I've found over and over by doing this that there are no shortcuts, and the song is only as good as the amount of time you spend with it. Inspiration is one thing, and it's nice. It makes things flow easier, but I can point back to all of my songs, and the ones that I really like are the ones that I spend the longest on. The ones that I throw away are the ones that like I just never really spend the time developing. So I kind of think that there's not really a good or bad idea. And it's the same thing with like musicians coming up, like talent, like I kind of don't care about it that much. It's just how much time you're willing to put in. So I don't know if that's hard or easy, it's just how much time you want to put in.
I was listening to an interview with Stephen Sondheim, who is a great Broadway composer. And the story is that this guy was at a bar, and he looked up and he said, oh, that's Stephen Sondheim. I think I'm going to go up and talk to him. And so he sits next to him, and he wanted to find out a little bit about the process of songwriting. He says, so Stephen, if I just said, write me a song right now, could you do it? He says, no, I couldn't do it. And he said, well, why? He says, well, I have to know why I'm writing the song. So he said, if you give me a situation like a young couple is just married, and he's joined the military, and now he's being shipped off to war, I can write something about that. But if you just tell me you're writing a song, I have nowhere to start. And it made me think about being a part of a composers group that was going on during the pandemic. And it was called Song a Week, and we were tasked with writing one song a week for as long as you could keep it up. If you didn't come up with a song, you were out of the group. Now, my daughter was the administrator, so damned if I wasn't going to miss a week, you know. And so I was in it for a good year. And a lot of songs came out of that, but what was helpful, excuse me about that, is she had a prompt each week that we could work off of. Now, if I didn't have that prompt, I think it would have been out the first week. So it could have been a place you love to be, or it could be, one week it was animals, and another week it was travel, and it was, you know, so it could be anything within that realm. And so, okay, well, I'm thinking about that week that we spent in Venice. I remember it well. What was that like? What does that music sound like from that period? So there you go. Yeah, right?
Okay, we got to get to a point where we're going to hear you. So we need to shift gears here real quick. The first band that's on stage, I don't have my list in front of me, but whoever that is, you may as well not go to the warm-up room. You may as well just get your instruments and get up here and play. Let's see. Yeah, we got a little bit of time. So we're looking forward to hearing you. Let me just let you know that Jack and myself will be in the singer-songwriter room across the hall in the vocal room. Are my runners here? Do you want to introduce yourself? Can you come down so that you know who's going to be leading you around? These are my amazing students. I love them so much, and I appreciate them so much. Dario's. Okay. Frankie and Dario, who's doing something else, are running singer-songwriters. Is that right? Okay, so see them if you're doing that. And Elias and Morena are going to be running bands, and so the warm-up room is right across the hall in the band room. So they are your guides. So if you have any questions, just let them know.
Where will they meet them before they're supposed to go to the warm-up room?